Charlie Brown, or Peanuts, is hands down the most successful comic strip in history. The tales of a depressed outcast and his varied group of eccentric friends, along with his iconic dog Snoopy, have been entertaining audiences in various forms of media since the original comic strip's formation in 1950. Everything from television series to TV specials, books, video games, and anything else you can think of, the Peanuts brand has certainly proven to stand the test of time, with their merchandise still being popular with the general public even to this day. Though, let's face it, is there any occasion that Snoopy can't brighten with his wholesome, if somewhat smart aleck, presence? But either way, the point is that all of this also extends to theatrically released movies as well, with a total of 4 Peanuts movies coming out during Charles M. Schultz's, the creator and writer of most Peanuts content until his death in 2003's life. And today, I'd like to briefly explore all 4 of these movies and go over how well they fit the moniker of Charlie Brown. And there will be potential spoilers for each movie ahead, so in case you aren't totally caught up on them, you might not want to proceed with this video. And please do note that the 2015 Peanuts movie will not be mentioned here, as I'm only looking at the Charlie Brown movies written by Charles M. Schultz himself. So first we have A Boy Named Charlie Brown, which tells the well-known story of Charlie Brown finally trying to prove his worth by getting into the regional spelling bee. Now let me just say, if there was ever a movie that fully encapsulated what the Peanuts were really about, this would be it. Especially because for all his efforts, he doesn't actually win in the end and goes back to feeling like a loser. But as Linus points out to him, the world didn't come to an end. Which, while blunt, is a pretty valuable lesson to teach people. That just because we don't achieve our goals, even if we worked very hard for them, life still goes on regardless, and in the end usually isn't that big of a deal. And the reason this works so well as a Charlie Brown movie is because in any other kids movie, it would have been a no-brainer that he would have won, or at least got the confidence boost he needed. But instead he loses and ultimately has to come to grips with it, pretty much ending up right back where he started. Sure, it might not be the most inspiring message in a kids movie ever, but it is an unfortunate truth of life. But other than that, another notable thing about the movie is how many times it veers off into plot-irrelevant musical numbers that don't really do much besides showcase animation and music. And while it does a good job at that, it was probably for the best that they toned that down in subsequent movies. And next we have Snoopy Come Home, which is almost infamous for how depressing it is. I mean, only Peanuts could take such a lovable goofball like Snoopy and tell a story with him that's genuinely upsetting. Especially because in the end, the happy ending isn't really a totally happy one. Again, on the whole, it's just depressing in a way that only Charlie Brown can be. But if nothing else, at least there's the whole scene where Snoopy becomes Rex to add some levity and downright horror to the mix. So once again, while it may be sad, it's still very much a Charlie Brown movie. It might just be best to not show it to very small children. Then next we have Race for Your Life, Charlie Brown, which might just be the most conventional movie of the 4, but even then manages to work. Moving away from depressing themes and focusing more on action, Race for Your Life Charlie Brown sees the kids go to summer camp and try desperately to beat a group of bullies in a raft race. And the results are pretty good ones, especially as far as being a kids movie goes. And not to mention, the comedy is pretty good as well, especially the beginning where the bus leaves Charlie Brown behind and Snoopy gives him a lift on his motorcycle, leading to the opening credits as poor Chuck screams in absolute terror. As well as Peppermint Patty demanding votes from her group no matter what kind of situation they find themselves in, which Charlie Brown eventually has enough of. And the ending is also a pretty satisfying one, if only to see Snoopy overcome his fear of cats to defend Woodstock so he can win. Again, it's a bit unexpected for a Charlie Brown movie, but the results are still great nonetheless. And finally, there's Bon Voyage, Charlie Brown, and Don't Come Back, which sees Charlie Brown and a few friends go to Europe as part of a student's exchange program, all the while trying to figure out the origin of a mysterious letter he received from France. And this was actually a personal project from Charles M. Schultz, as most of the locations in France, as well as a few of the experiences mentioned, were based off of things he had personally dealt with while in the country during World War II. But even aside from the history surrounding the movie's creation, it still works perfectly as yet another adventure for Charlie Brown. Whether it may be Snoopy's antics in unfamiliar lands, Charlie Brown accidentally feeding his share of a loaf of bread to a car, or Peppermint Patty just making a general nuisance of herself, this movie does have plenty to offer for fans of the Peanuts. And not to mention, things end up turning out pretty well for Charlie Brown, as he not only gets to find out quite a bit about his grandfather, but also learn that he was a war hero at that. But unfortunately, when the movie underperformed at the box office, the plug was pulled on any more Charlie Brown movies being made, and as a result, that was the last Peanuts film released before Charles M. Schultz died. But nonetheless, regardless of what other stories could have been told, in the end, all four of Charlie Brown's adventures on the big screen still proved themselves to be pretty good ones, if each in their own unique way. Alright, I think that pretty much covers everything. So now I'd like to hear from all of you. What did you think of the four Peanuts movies to come out during Charles M. Schultz's lifetime? And which one would you say was your favorite? Please feel free to let me know in the comments below. And like always, you don't have to agree with this video just because you watched it. It's okay if we have different opinions, and the world won't come to an end if we do. And thank you all for watching. It is all very appreciated, and I hope to see you all next time.